Hey everyone, Dan from fpgeeks.com here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Conid Fountainbel bulk filler. Now this is a very cool pen. It's very intriguing because mainly the filling system. It uses a revolutionary new filling system called the bulk filler, which allows the piston to travel the entire length of the barrel and use all of that capacity for ink storage. Whereas like with a traditional piston filler, it would take up half the barrel and you would be losing that capacity. The other very cool thing about this is the entire pen is machined and all of the metal on it is titanium. So it's a very cool pen, and I just can't wait any longer. I've got to take a closer look at this thing, so join me. Starting with the packaging, we find a very familiar protective cardboard sleeve, but then on the case we see this metal plate with the owner's name inscribed on it. It's a very cool little personal touch. Of course, we got the pen inside and the little tab that we can use to remove that, and below that we'll find a couple of tools that you can add to your purchase of the pen. And then there's also the instruction sheet, and it's a very detailed instruction sheet because the filling mechanism is a little bit more complicated than what you're probably normally used to. And this I really like, an exploded diagram of the pen and all the parts and their names. It's very useful. It tells you how to take it apart, how to put it together. I'm very glad that Conid includes such detailed instructions with the pen. Taking a general look over the pen, we'll see that it's got a kind of a squarish design and it's very similar in size to a Pelikan M800. I really like that. Before we look at the filling system, I want to take a look at a few optional items that you can purchase with the pen. And this is called the Conid key, and this is a €15 or $20 additional purchase that can be used to remove the filling system from the pen if you should ever want to do that. And I'm going to show you how. So you just rotate the piston knob counterclockwise to disengage it from the rear of the pen, and you'll see two little holes in that black part, and you insert the Conid key in there, and it's a very tight fit. It fits very snugly, and just to make sure it stays there when I'm trying to remove it, I attach the piston knob, and then it's just as simple as unscrewing the entire unit and it slides out just like that. It's very simple, it's very easy. And then to remove the Conid key, just disengage the piston knob, slide it back a little bit, and that key will come right out. Now let's take a closer look at the parts of the filling mechanism. We've got the rod that you can see here. This is the barrel seal, which closes off ink from the barrel to the feed. This white part is actually the piston seal. I'll refer to this as the seal. And this black piece is the closure nut. That's what the seal attaches to, and you can see them interlock like this. It's got kind of two fingers that interlock with each other, and then you've got the piston knob at the rear of the pen. And just kind of notice how everything slides very freely on the rod. Reassembly is just as easily as disassembly, and I'll go ahead and skip that operation right now and give you a first-hand look at how the mechanism actually operates. To start, we want to rotate the piston knob counterclockwise to disengage it from the closure nut. Pull all the way back so that the barrel seal threads into the piston seal, and then continue turning so that the piston seal disengages the barrel nut. Now the piston seal is free and you can operate the piston. You can fill it, you can flush it. It's very simple. The rod is securely attached to the piston seal and it travels the entire length of the barrel. Once you've filled the pen, the piston will now be at the rear of the pen and you turn it clockwise. This will engage the white piston to the black closure nut, and then you keep turning the piston knob clockwise to disengage the rod from the piston seal. Now that it's free, you can push it down into the pen and simply close the piston knob. It's a very simple design, and once you've done it once, you've really got the hang of it. It's really not any more complicated than that. So real quick, I'll just run through it again. Basically, you just unscrew the piston knob and pull it back, and then keep rotating it counterclockwise until the piston seal disengages. Now you're free to operate it, fill it, flush it, all that good stuff, and then just turn it clockwise to reattach the piston seal to closure nut, keep turning to disengage the piston rod, and there you go. I mean, it's very simple. It's an excellent design, and it's a lot of fun to use. Now that we've taken a close look at the filling mechanism, let's check out the rest of the pin. On the top of the cap is the Conid logo. It's a very neat design, and on the clip you'll see the serial number of the pin. This is number 42 of 60. Only 60 of these clear demonstrators were made. Around the top of the cap it says Antwerp, Belgium, and Conid. Conid is a Belgian company. And then around the cap band it says Conid Fountainbel bulk filler. Looking at the other end of the pin, you'll see more machined titanium, and it says first production run FPR 42-60. You'll also notice the O-rings at the end of the pin, and that's to help secure the cap when it's posted, and it does an excellent job of that. Removing the cap, we'll take a closer look at the section and the nib. This one features a titanium nib, which is a €30 option, about $40, but it looks fantastic and it writes equally as good as it looks. This one happened to be ground to an extra fine, and it writes fantastically. The Conid logo is really cool on this nib. I really like it. And here you'll see the titanium threads on the section. Earlier I had mentioned how this pin is very similar in size to the Pelican M800, and it's nearly identical. It sits very nicely in the hand. The shape of the section is very comfortable. I can use it equally as well posted or not posted, and if you do decide to post it, you'll be happy to know that it attaches very securely. It does add quite a bit of length to it and a little bit of weight. I didn't find it too upsetting, although I really tend to use many of my fountain pens in the posted position. The one thing I do want to point out is the O-rings at the end of the pin. It's not the most appealing design for aesthetics, but it does function very well. It allows the cap to post very securely. I would have just liked to have seen a better method. Now it's time to fill the pen and see how it writes. I'm going to use some Mont Blanc Alfred Hitchcock red. It's a fantastic red. I've been really happy with this ink. And we'll just fill the pen just like I showed you earlier, and we'll break the seal on that piston. And I've filled it previously, so I'm going to hold it over the bottle as I push the piston down, and then just pull it up. You'll get, let's see, I got about, well, I don't know, 85-90% full there. A little bit of air left in the barrel. And you will want to note when you push the rod down, keep the pen over the bottle of ink, because as you can see, it does push out several drops of ink, and if you didn't realize this the first time you did it, you could be in for a big mess. So just kind of keep a watch on that the first time you do fill it. Now that we're all inked up, let's see how it performs. I really like the titanium nib in this pen, and I would definitely opt for that over a steel nib or even the gold nib. You can see we're getting a little bit of flex out of this, and it's actually a very nice nib for flexing. I wouldn't quite call it a vintage semi-flex. It doesn't flex that much, but it feels just as good. The nib is very responsive. It's not mushy feeling. You can definitely write with the extra fine width with very little pressure. But if you want to add a little character to your writing, you can apply some pressure and get the tines to open up and get the nib to flex a little bit. It's just really a good nib. And the one thing that I found when I was using it is that it didn't matter what paper I was using, what ink I was using, the feed just continued to provide an excellent flow of ink. I really didn't run into any problems with the nib or the feed while using this pen. And with that matte finish on the titanium nib, I think it just matches the rest of the pen perfectly. Yeah, this would definitely be my choice if I was going to buy this pen. I just don't think the steel nib or the gold nib can match up to it in terms of performance. All right, there it is. My thoughts on the Conid Fountainbel bulk filler. Now, if you do want this pen, unfortunately, the clear one is no longer available. Although they are making this in a black Delrin model with the flat top design and also a streamline where both ends are rounded. So let's talk a little bit about the details of this. The base model starts at, let's see, 481 euros. That's about $630. That includes a steel nib, shipping anywhere in the world, and then 5% PayPal surcharge if that's how you plan to pay. It's a little bit of a pricey pen there. The titanium nib is an additional 30 euros, about $40. And then if you step up to the 18K nib, it's going to cost 617 euros or about $800. Now, if you remember, I did mention the Pelican M800 several times in this video simply because it's so close in size and feel. That pen with an 18K nib is only about $500. So there's a big difference there between the two pens, although one is a mass-produced pen and one is almost one-off. I mean, there was only 60 of these made. There's not going to be a whole lot of the black Delrin ones made, so you're going to have a lot more exclusivity with the Conid, and you're getting a pen that's handmade, like from beginning to end. It's completely machined. There's a lot of titanium involved. It's not just your run-of-the-mill fountain pen. So you are definitely getting what you're paying for. It's just a question to you, is that worth it? For me, I don't know. I mean, I don't think anyone's not going to be happy with this pen, but $300, that's another pen in itself. So just something to think about. And before I finish, I do want to thank Thomas for sending this to us to review. If he hadn't done that, there's no way I would have been able to get my hands on this to review it. I hope you enjoyed that. Be sure to read our full written review. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Indulge in the